And hello everybody! We are here and we're going to be doing a tutorial today. This tutorial is going to be very simple. It's going to be a simple, easy, quick inventory manager. Because I know there's a lot of problems and I look on the internet all the time and they're always very complex and very hard to do for a beginner. So I'm going to make something simple and easy for a beginner. Now the first thing we're going to do is I'm going to show you how this inventory system works, and then I'm going to go into how you build it from scratch. And I'm going to delete all this, and then that's what's going to happen. So you have your FPS controller, and as you can see we have a hotbar up there, and when we go over to an object, we click on it, it will add 1, 2, 3, 4, and then if we go back far enough, it will not do anything. So that's how that works, and then you go up to the second one, and it will do the same, and if we go back far enough, it will not click on it anymore. And that is literally all to this inventory system. That's all we're doing. This is expandable, it's easy, and it's a quick thing you can do if you want to get an inventory system out there and done. So, next part of the video, I'm going to quickly get stuff ready, and then we will be back, and I will show you how to make this, and I'll explain some things as well. Anyway, see you guys there. Alright, and welcome back. So we are now here with the video. Alright, this is the main portion. We're going to recreate this. Now, this is literally just the blank scene from before, and we're going to save this so that we can just make it, and I'm not doing any tricks here. So, all we have is a blank scene. I've added a floor, and I've also added some special standard assets package from Unity, as well as an icon generator. Now this is going to be important later, but right now it's not necessarily required. So the standard assets is it's a package of just basic assets that you can use in your games, free by Unity, and you can find it on here. If we go to standard assets, standard. If my internet will load, you would get this right here, standard assets, and the first thing that should show up, or the second thing, depends because this one sometimes comes first, you will find standard assets by Unity Technologies. It's a 4-star, but that's not as bad. But it's very good for getting stuff started quickly, and that's exactly what we want here. That's exactly what this tutorial is supposed to show you. So, we're going to quickly go in, and I've already opened this. But we have, in characters, in first-person controller, we have FPS controller and rigid body FPS. I'm going to suggest you use this, just for how it works, and we're going to add this to the top of our hierarchy. Now you'll notice, I don't want it in the directional light. Great, now it's on an angle. There we go. And let's bring our guy up, and we'll see where he is, and as you can see we have a little guy. A little cube, or not a cube, it's a capsule that can flow through the floor and can do a bunch of stuff. And yeah, we're fine, we're good. So you'll notice something, that we don't have a camera in our scene. Most scenes when you start them will have a camera. This one I've taken it out because we already have a camera that's going to come with this object. So you'll have to do that once you get in. It'll start with the camera. When you get in, you'll have to remove that camera so that we can have this come in. Pretty simple. Okay. So the first thing we're going to do, before we do anything, and yes, I wrote stuff down so I can remember it because I have bad memory, we are going to make the slots, because slots are the important part. We need to have something to tell the player where they are. And this is what I'm going to call a static inventory. So nothing's going to move. You can't have slots that appear out of nowhere when you pick up an item. They're going to stay there, and all the items in the game are going to be on a slot. No matter what, they're going to be there, and they're always going to stay there. The only thing that's changing about these slots is the number on them. So you'll either have 1, 0, -1. You shouldn't go into -1, but if you do, you probably should fix it. So we have raw image, image. We're going to just make an image. We need a... Before we do that, we're just going to make a panel. So this panel, we're going to call it inventory. And naturally, what you normally do to edit UI is you go into 2D mode and you zoom all the way back. And there you go. Now you have your panel and you have your UI. So we're going to scale this down all the way up here. And now we're going to make our 2 slots. We're going to start with 2, and that's what we're going to do. Because we're going to only have 2 items to start off with. So we are going to make a UI image. This is our image. This is going to be our first slot. And we're going to expand this to the rest of the field. Nope, we need to click on that. We're going to expand this to the rest of the field, like so. You can make this however big you want. But first, I'm going to teach you a good practice is to get an empty in here, name it slot, and we're going to add the image to that slot, and then as well as a text. So we're going to add text. Don't worry about the other options there. You can do text mesh pro text. I don't generally use that because I don't see a point to using it for this. We just want something simple, and if you don't have that, then there's no point in using it. So let's do, and then we're going to do something that I normally do, which is 0. We add a bunch of zeros in, because this will test how far we can actually, how many zeros we can put in without breaking it, basically is what we're trying to do here. And we're going to up this to 25 so you can see it. There we go. And you'll notice there will automatically be some zeros that you can't get, but if you can, then there you go. And there. So we can fit this many zeros, this big of a number, into this box without it going outside of the box. And the player should hopefully be able to see that perfectly fine. So we're going to rename this though. We're going to name this amount text. Amount text. So we know exactly what it is, and this will be the item image. There we go, item image, and now we have our first slot, which our slot isn't exactly the same size as everything else. But we can't change this now because it will move everything around it. So what we're going to do is we're going to take everything out of the slot. This is just a fix if you do this. It's a good idea to measure it out first, but if you do end up doing this, it's a simple way of fixing it, like that, and then you re-put everything inside it. And there you go, now you have a slot. So what we're doing with this slot is we're next going to make it into a prefab, so that we can just take it out and then go like this. And there we go, we have our next slot. Now you'll notice you can't see it, which is because we don't have it in our inventory. And there you go, now you can see it and it will snap to the normal grid. And there we go, that's our 2 slots. Now that's all with the UI we have to do. Now we have to go into scripting. So we're going to make this a new script. We're going to call it slot handler. Alright, we're going to be using a total of 3 scripts in this game. In this tutorial, we're going to have a slot handler, an item handler, and the inventory handler. And they're all going to work together to make this work. So we're going to go, and then we're going to make a special thing in our hierarchy called a game manager. I generally do this if I don't want a script, I'll call it a game manager if I don't want it on a player, but I still need it on a game object. So I will make a blank object and call it game manager. So that's what I did. And we're going to call this inventory handler. And let's go back over here. By the way, if you're liking the video so far, I do encourage you to leave a like and subscribe and hit the bell icon because it will give you more content notifications in the future and it will tell you when my next video is out. I'm going to be doing something new where I do these types of videos every Thursday. It's going to be Tutorial Thursday. So next Thursday you'll get one. You'll be getting this tomorrow for me because I'm recording this a day ahead. So you'll be getting this tutorial Thursday. And it will happen the next Thursday, and that's how I want to do it. So, and if you like this video, I do highly want to ask, like it. Press the like button, tells me that you like it, and you're interested in my content. So let's just get the last part we have to do, and the last one is the items. Now we don't actually have any items on our scene. So let's go quickly. A cool trick you can do is if you double click on the floor, it'll zoom you into it so you don't have to scroll all the way back in. It's just a nice little thing you can do. So we're going to add 2 new objects, and we're going to call them item. We're going to call an item. We're going to start with one so that we can make it, and then we'll add a second one in. So this is our first item. It's going to be over here. And we're going to add a second item, and it's going to be over here. Now, we're going to add a script to it. We're going to add the item handler. Now, don't worry about these other scripts. Do them one at a time. I'm just making these preemptively for you guys, so you know exactly what we're going to need to use and exactly where they're going. So each of these items should have an item handler on it, if it's going to load. I have to wait for it to load. So let's give it a minute to load, and then let's go into the item handler. We'll go into that after a minute. Let's get this. And the first thing we're going to do is we're going to get the slot set up, because the inventory handler requires a slot, and then the item handler requires the inventory handler. So it's like a chain. The slot is the first thing you have to make. It's the first thing I'd suggest you make, because then you'll have errors if you don't. So let's make the slot handler. So the first thing we need to do is open the script, and it will open a Unity or a Visual Studio 2017 for me, because I'm using an older version. But it still works, mind you. Alright, once it loads, we will be all set to go. This is a great time to mention. Sorry. I was about to get a hiccup. It's a great time to mention that if you haven't seen my previous tutorials, I highly suggest you look at them, because they cover some basics in player movement, just in 2D. This one's, we're moving up to 3D, but in player movement and how to do some rough AI and platformer type mechanics in Unity 2D. So I'm going to leave an info card up about here-ish in the video, I think, and it'll lead you right to that. So go check it out. There's no harm in checking it out. You get to learn some stuff. I try and explain it very thoroughly, like I'm doing here. So yeah, enjoy. Anyway, let's get back into what we're doing. So we have a slot handler now, which doesn't have... Okay, this is the thing I really dislike about Unity. So the problem we have here is we can do this, but you notice it doesn't recognize mono behavior as a thing, as like an existent part, because we don't have any of the packages or the parts of the folder you need. So I've said this in a previous video, but I'm going to say it again because it's something that really irritates me. So we're going to close this down again, and we're going to let that close, and we're going to go over to our file, and I don't know if you guys can see this, but you want to go to your file, you want to find your project folder. So mine, I called it inventory tutorial, and there should be something called inventory tutorial for me, and whatever you have for yours, .sln. Now that's Visual Studio Solution, which if you click that, it'll open up the solution for your game, and which means it'll have all the packages it needs. And I suggest you do that now. If you're doing this at home, do that now, so that you can have everything you need to make said script work. And you could use IntelliJ, whatever it is, the autocomplete program that they use with Visual Studio. If you're doing this on something else, I'm sorry I can't help you. I use Visual Studio C#. So if you have a question about, I don't know how you do, okay, oh, that's good to know. It automatically loaded all of them for me. See? The wonderful thing, because I had already preloaded this with the previous one, but it doesn't matter. We're going to get right into it. So first we need to make a slot handler. And the nice thing about having all the scripts ready is you can just edit them without needing to actually do anything. So we have, the first thing we need our slot handler to have is the ID of itself. Because the ID is how we're going to identify what is a slot and what is an item, and which item goes to which slot. That's how we're figuring it out. It's going to look for an ID. So we're going to go slot handler. We're going to make a new int, or a public integer, which is just a number, and it's going to be a number that can't be a decimal. So it's this whole number, always. And we're going to name it ID. And we're not going to set it to anything to start. And then we're going to make the current amount of items. So we want public. You can do cur items, which is going to give me an error because I didn't put int current amount of items, which that's all that's saying is the current items. And then what we want to do is make a text. Now you can't just add text in, because if you do public, lowercase, public, text, you notice you don't actually get text, and you'll get an error for it. It'll try and auto-complete it to something it's not supposed to be. So what you have to do is you have to say using, which is for importing a new library from Unity engine dot, and then we want to go over to UI. Just press in UI and you'll get it. See, and end it with a semicolon. And now we can access the text. See, and then we have text. And this is what we're going to use to modify our text on the screen. And then text, and we're going to call it amount text. Perfect. Now, I normally remove these on start, so I just normally go through all my scripts and just get rid of them, because we don't, unless we need them, there's no point in having them exist on that script. So this script, though, this one will require a update, the update method. So if you don't know what the update method does, it basically every couple frames, or every so odd frames, it'll send a call to this method, which means anything inside of this method will operate every once in a while. Update, which is exactly what we want, because what we're gonna, why did I put that there? That's not gonna work. There we go. So void update, we don't want to make it public because nothing else is going to access it. There's no point in doing that. So we're going to just simply say our amount text is equal to the cur items. Now you're going to get an error immediately. If I put that there, you're going to get an error. It's going to say cannot implicitly convert type int to Unity engine.ui.text. Now what it's trying to say is that we're trying to take a text that is of type text and change it into a number. We can't do that, so we have to go .text. Now if you know how this works, this will also give an error saying it can't convert to string, which is why we have .toString, which will immediately change this to a string, and then there you go. That's all the script does. That's all the script is supposed to do, because it doesn't need to do any more. But now what we need is to make the item handler. But before we make an item handler, because the item handler is going to require us to have the inventory manager. So this is kind of the order you would make it. You'd have, let me see if I can drag this, you'd have slot manager, inventory handler, and item handler. That's the order of operations when you make this. Space that, and space that. So we're going to make the inventory handler. And this will require a slot. So we're going to make an array. So an array is simply just public array. Now you don't type in array. Now we're going to make this an array of slots in specific, so that we can store every slot that is in our game. So we're going to do, why did I do store? Slot. Public slot handler array. And we're going to call it slots. Now we have a... Hey guys, this is me back again, probably in the middle of the recording, towards the end of the first part of the first part of the tutorial, because I realized this is post-recording. This is a long video. The original video is like 49 minutes, or 39? No, 39 minutes, and I don't think you guys want to sit through that all in one go. So what's going to happen is I'm going to upload the first part on Thursday, and the second part, which this one, you'll hear this at the end of the first part, so you'll get it on Thursday, and on the second part you will get the rest of the video. Now this may be cut randomly, I don't know where I'm cutting it yet, but I do know that you will get some of the first part, and then I will ask you to stay to the end and tune in the next day for the video, for the rest of the video. And I hope you enjoyed it so far. this is basically going to be the outro for the first video. And yeah, so if you guys liked it, please, 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 please press that subscribe button and hit the bell icon to get notified for future videos, especially the one coming tomorrow. Because I don't know when I'm going to end up posting this. So hit the bell icon so you know when I upload. And then what I would like you to do is hit the like button, because it tells me you liked what I am putting up. Now this video, I don't know if it's going to be shorter or longer. Tell me if you liked it. Tell me what I could do better. Do that by hitting the like, and then in the comments tell me what you liked about it, what you didn't like, whatever. Be sure to look at my previous tutorials, because they explain some stuff that I didn't cover here, and just some basic stuff. Anyway, I want to thank you guys for watching, and until the next video tomorrow, Happy New Year!